Spanish Son-Endo-Grams, copyrighted and trademarked by Glenn Harewood, PhD. What is a son-endogram? A son-endogram is the pronounceable verb sound or suffix ending that marks and identifies the particular end form or forms of the various verb tenses of Romance language verb sounds. Now, ojo, there is no one best way to learn or to do anything, but many. Use the question answer, that is the usted singular, ustedes is the plural forms. Use this usted or ustedes sound concept as central to quickly learn, know, and speak or use thousands of Spanish verb sounds. Delete the boring verb conjugational drills that are found in textbooks and on the web in various forms. These conjugational drills have their basis in the Latin format amo, amas, amat, amamos, amatis, amant. This is the form in which I learned them in school, in high school, when I was learning the verb sounds in Latin, in French, and in Spanish. They form the basis, but they are meaningless as far as learning to speak and communicate is concerned. If you know only one question answer concept, which I present here or later on, you know by default at least 24 verb forms. But verbs forms by themselves don't mean anything, so I put everything into a sentence. I will explain this later. I also treat the three representative model verb sounds, hablar, beber, and vivir. I treat the imperative, the past participle, as well as the present participle. I treat some functional but irregular verb sounds like estar, tener, ser, and ir. I also treat hacer, haber, dar, querer, faltar, gustar, reflexive verb sounds, and I treat those in the expanded volume only. These are all new Son-Endo-Grams. I show how you can easily learn to use and communicate in the Spanish language, because the verb is the most important word in the sentence. Without the verb, a sentence has no meaning. So I put everything into a sentence. I also supply an appendix where you can apply and practice with 100 verb sound infinitive cognates. And then I give the following: a preview of the Spanish Son-Endo-Grams. Here I present only the tiempo presente. I present the forms with usted as well as the forms with ustedes. Now let us have a look at this diagram. You see the yellow bar here, that is central. Take the representative verb hablar, which represents about 90% of the verb sounds in the Spanish language. The verb sound infinitives. Hablar is representative of all the AR verbs in the Spanish language, and they are approximately close to 90 to 95% of all the verbs that you will use in the Spanish language could be represented by this verb hablar. Now, if you take off the AR from hablar, that sound ending, the sound ending for the sound ending a goes with usted. This is the question sound, the principal question sound here in the yellow horizontal bar. If you wanted to ask someone if they speak Spanish, if he or she speaks Spanish, you would say, habla usted español? And if he or she were answering for him or herself, he or she would say, sí, yo hablo español, yo hablo is the end song, which goes with yo, which means, yes, I speak Spanish. And negatively, you would say, the person would reply, no, yo no hablo español, yo no hablo español. Now, many times, the yo is dropped because of the end song is so marked. It is so meaningful that especially in the present tense, whenever you hear a verb sound ending with o, you know it's going to go with yo, which means I do so and so. In this case, it's yo hablo español. I speak Spanish. Negatively, yo no hablo español. Fortunately for us, however, for you, however, the habla usted is also used for the he and she. If you wanted to say, does he habla él? Does he speak Spanish? You would say habla él español. And if you wanted this, and he would, you would reply. The reply would be, él habla español. Él habla español. Similarly, if you wanted to ask the question, habla ella español? Does she speak Spanish? You would put the question, habla, the Son-Endo-Gram here, habla ella español? And the reply would be, sí, ella habla español. Ella habla español. And if you wanted to put it in the negatives, you say, él no habla español, or ella no habla español. Now, similarly, for the beber, here you have the infinitive sound beber. You put the question, do you drink a lot of whiskey? Do you drink a lot of whiskey? Bebe usted mucho whisky? Bebe usted mucho whisky? Bebe usted mucho whisky? And the answer, sí, yo bebo. Yo bebo. Again, you have the end song for I would be yo bebo mucho whisky. Mucho whisky. I drink a lot of whiskey. And similarly, if you wanted to ask the question, does he drink a lot of whiskey? You would say, bebe él mucho whisky? Bebe él mucho whisky? And you would get the answer. Si él bebe mucho whisky. Él bebe mucho whisky. Similarly, bebe ella. Does she drink a lot of whiskey? Bebe ella mucho whisky? And the response, ella bebe mucho whisky. Ella bebe mucho whisky. And for the third verb sound, vive. If you wanted to ask the question, vive usted en Toronto? Do you live, vive usted en Toronto? You would get that's the question. And the response would be, sí, yo vivo en Toronto. Yo vivo, again, the yo vivo en Toronto. And similarly, if you want to ask if he lives in Toronto, you would ask the question, vive él en Toronto, vive él en Toronto? And you would get the reply, you would get the reply, sí, él vive en Toronto. Él vive en Toronto. And if you wanted to ask the question if she lives in Toronto, you would say, vive ella en Toronto? Sí, ella vive en Toronto. Ella vive en Toronto. And you can put it in the negative also. Él no vive en Toronto, or ella no vive en Toronto. Now, this is this for the singular. Now we could go on to the plural if you wanted to ask the plural. Again, we have the yellow bar, the yellow horizontal bar. Now, for the plural songs, do you and you and you speak Spanish? More than one person, you and you and you. Some people say y'all. I prefer to say you and you and you. Hablan, to make any sound in the present time, and other tenses too, plural. In the Spanish language, all you do is add an N to the usted sound. Usted, to the usted singular, you add an N. Hablan ustedes español. Do you and you speak Spanish? Hablan ustedes español. Now, the reply to hablan ustedes, if you and you were all replying together, you would say, sí, nosotros. Now, nosotros is another marker. Nosotros or nosotras. Nosotros. Wherever you hear the sound nosotras, nosotras, or nosotros, it's going to refer to we. The equivalent in English is we. Nosotros hablamos. Again, mos. The Son-Endo-Gram, mos. Wherever you see mos at the end of a verb sound, you know it represents the we. We speak Spanish. Sí. Nosotros for the males, and nosotras for females. Hablamos español. Nosotros hablamos español. Similarly, hablan ustedes. Again, do they, the males, do they speak Spanish? Hablan ellos español? And the reply, sí, ellos hablan español. Ellos hablan español. Similarly, for ellas, hablan ellas español? Sí, ellas hablan español. Ellas hablan español. And you can also put it in the negative. Ellos no hablan español. Ellas no hablan español. Now we go on, as we did for the singular forms, we have beben. Beben ustedes mucho whisky. Beben ustedes mucho whisky. And you get the reply, nosotros bebemos mucho whisky. Nosotros bebemos, hemos is the song ending, mucho whisky. And also you can say, you can ask the question, beben ellos mucho whisky? Beben ellos mucho whisky? And you get the response. Sí, ellos beben mucho whisky. They drink a lot of whiskey. Ellos, males. Ellos beben mucho whisky. Or you can then go to the plural, well, for the females. Beben ellas mucho whisky. Sí, ellas beben mucho whisky. Ellas beben mucho whisky. Finally, for the verb sound vivir in the plural forms, viven viven ustedes en Toronto, viven ustedes en Toronto, and you get the reply. Sí, nosotros vivimos en Toronto. Or the feminine forms, or for females would say, nosotras vivimos en Toronto. No, the imos for the vivir, and the hemos for beber. And let's go back to the viven ellos. Do the males, if you were addressing or asking a question about males, you would say, viven ellos en Toronto, viven ellos en Toronto. And the reply would be, ellos viven en Toronto. Similarly, since the ustedes form is used for also the ellos and ellas, you would say, for do they, females, live in Toronto? Viven ellas en Toronto? And you get the reply, ellas viven en Toronto. Ellas viven en Toronto. And you could also give the negative forms. Ellos no viven en Toronto. Ellas no viven en Toronto. Now, you can see how this puts everything neatly into one little box, question and answer, rather than just conjugating the words or the verb amo, amas, amat. If you want to find out more about the other tenses, this is just the present tense which I've treated. And if you stop to count, you will see that there are 24 forms that you've learned just by knowing the habla usted, the reply, yo hablo, and the plural, Hablan ustedes? Just by knowing those two basic central forms, the yellow line, the yellow horizontal line, you actually know 24, at least 24 forms of the verb sound, but I put it in a sentence so that it really makes sense. Now you can transpose or transfer this concept, question answer concept, to all the verb sounds in the Spanish language. To learn more, visit www.glenneducation.com.